tell us your personal story. Who is Monica Felton?
Right. Yeah, so my career really started in 1990. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep for a company called SmithKline Beecham. And so I worked really hard and climbed the corporate ladder. And in 2000, I graduated to what I call the pinnacle of sales, which was medical device sales. I worked for a company called Medtronic, and I sold, implanted, and serviced pacemakers, defibrillators alongside of cardiologists. So like I said, man, I thought that I had arrived. It really was a fantastic time until I realized everything that was involved. And wow, medical device sales, it is a grind. So you're definitely responsible for keeping physicians happy, because remember, they're the ones who determine if they're going to use your product or not. So a lot of time was spent entertaining, making them happy, pleasing them. But on the other side, we're also responsible for servicing and supporting the products that are implanted in these patients to keep them safe. So this was a 24/7 responsibility. I was on call. And even though I had made it to the pinnacle and was making great money, it was actually killing me and my family. So this was about 2004 when I picked my head up and I said, my gosh, there has got to be a better way. I was doing everything that traditional financial planning was telling me to do. I was overfunding my 401k. I was paying my house off. I was buying stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, but I didn't seem to be getting ahead. So I started asking questions. My mind was open to new possibilities. And as the Bible says, seek, you will find, ask, and you will receive. And that's exactly what happened. So in 2004, I was introduced to Nelson Nash and the becoming your own banker concept, or the infinite banking concept. I learned a new and a different way for me of creating wealth. I learned that I could create a pool of capital that I owned and controlled in a tax-free environment that I could deploy to myself for any opportunity. I was like, oh my goodness, this is what financial institutions are doing. This is what major corporations are doing. This is what wealthy people do. And it changed the course of my world, obviously for the better.
What made you decide to write this book specifically for medical device professionals? What is it that, from your background and your story and working with them, that compelled you to write this book for them?
Well, the main reason I wrote this book is really clarity. There's so many opinions, there's so much misinformation and really downright lies in the financial service industry. So I wanted to very simply and succinctly share with people how they could create wealth in a tax-favorable environment using this amazing tool called properly structured whole life insurance. I really wanted clarity in this process. In 2004, learning this new strategy completely blew my mind. So in 2004, I began to capitalize my own bank, that properly structured whole life insurance contract. So fast forward to 2008. Remember 2008? It was the biggest financial crisis, global crisis since the Great Depression. The sky was falling, there was blood in the streets, but you know what? It was a marvelous opportunity for me. Because remember, what had I been doing for the last 5 years? Building a pool of capital that I have liquidity, use, and control that I could deploy to any opportunity. How many opportunities do you think there were in 2008 for people with cash? Lots. So I had the opportunity to retire from medical device, to get out of the grind so I could do what I was passionate about. And so in 2009, I opened the doors to the Elliott Group. And every day, my financial organization gets to educate professionals who are seeking truth, who want to learn something new, who want to do something different, who have figured out that maybe traditional financial planning isn't getting the job done.
Yep.
That's what I get to do, and that's who I get to work with every day. So the Nelson Nash Institute was created to really maintain the integrity of Nelson Nash's vision. So Nelson Nash, over 40 years ago, wrote a book called Becoming Your Own Banker, Unlocking the Infinite Banking Concept. And the problem is that, like all good things, people come in and they try to make it their own and they try to change it. And what the Nelson Nash Institute does is maintains the integrity of Nelson's vision. So it's like-minded people who respect Nelson, who understand his process and want to keep the integrity of that. I am a licensed practitioner, which means that I've gone through the process of, educating and licensing myself so that I can be part of this organization. It provides credibility to me. I'm with a group of like-minded advisors who, we all believe in the same concept. Mm-hmm. But the most powerful thing of the Nelson Nash Institute, again, are the people and the minds. So it's called infinite banking for a reason. Yep. There's infinite possibilities. And so I have colleagues that are doing very interesting, exciting things, in other states, and they share those. So my clients get the best minds, the best opportunities of what's going on out there. So it's really a privilege to be a part of that organization. And it truly delineates those who are just trying to sell life insurance and those that are really sharing this powerful concept of infinite banking.
Talk to us about what the process of engaging you looks like. I mean, so whether, someone reads the book, they schedule a call, they're like, this is awesome, I want to know more. Talk to us about that process.
Right. So I always say I'm an educator. My job is to show you what's possible, and your job is to implement. So I really have a three-pronged approach. So the first is identifying any efficiencies that you might have in your financial wealth. I always say I help people find money that they're losing unknowingly and unnecessarily. Unknowingly because you don't know you're losing money, and unnecessarily because you don't need to be doing it. So I help you see where you're inefficient. Number two is I educate you on how to fix that. I want you to understand how money works. So I want to show you how we can plug those holes and recapture that money. The third place is implementation. What do we do with that found money to ensure that you can get to your financial goals quicker? So I identify what the inefficiencies are, I educate you on how to fix those, and then we implement a better strategy. So that process usually takes 2 to 3 meetings for me to understand your financial situation, and then for me to give you a plan and a strategy to help you obtain your goals.
And you work with people now, I think, exclusively through Zoom. Is that correct?
That is correct. So the world is flat. It gets flatter by the day, right? The reality is I'm all about getting efficient with money, efficient with time. And so Zoom is the most efficient vehicle that we have to communicate concepts to help you get on with your, financial freedom. Yeah. So yes, everything for me is done virtually.
What does the relationship with you look like? So I heard you say it's maybe 2 or 3 meetings to get things initially set up. At that point, are you done, or what is your goal?
No. Thank you for saying that. So once we get to implementation, I always say we kind of educate, and implement. So we do have an ongoing relationship where I take on the role more as a coach, because my job is to help bring opportunities or help you identify opportunities that you might not see exist. So again, my job is to help you see what's possible, and your job is to implement. So we will have an ongoing relationship. And I always like to say, you know, I get you into retirement or to that financial, to your position A, that financial freedom, as quickly as possible.
You know, who is not a good fit for you in what you do?
Right. So my ideal client is somebody who wants to learn new information. So first and foremost, I need people open-minded, willing to learn, and disciplined. So I guess the person that I'm unwilling or unable to work with is someone who already has all the answers. So, you know, again, I focus on medical device representatives because I understand you. I understand the grind. I understand what you're going through, and that your goal to get to your financial freedom is real and you want it to be rapid. And because I have that experience and was able to retire from medical device, I feel that I have information that can really help this field. But the reality is understanding, you know, good financial advice crosses all industries, right? Yeah. So, but really what I'm looking for is somebody who is wanting to get to the next level, who has maybe needs more information, doesn't feel like they're getting to their goals quick enough. They're open-minded, willing to learn, and do have some discipline.
Yeah. From an income standpoint, is there a minimum threshold for someone that they need to meet in order to qualify to work with you?
Right. I always say my clients make between 75,000 upwards of over $1 million a year. So again, what's more important to me is that you want information, you want to learn. I'm very passionate about educating you on what's possible. I love those aha moments, or why didn't anyone tell me this? I love to be that person.
Yeah.
So that's really who I'm looking for. And again, I always say it doesn't matter if you have $1,000 to invest or $1 million to invest. If you're open to learning, right, this is going to be a fabulous journey.
One, are you a fiduciary? And if so, why is that important? And what type of licensing do you have?
So I am a fiduciary, and that's very important. So when I opened the doors to my financial practice in 2009, I did everything that traditional financial planning requires. So my company is a registered investment advisory firm. And what that means is that I can support and sell all asset classes: stocks, bonds, mutual funds, alternative investments, oil and gas, REITs, annuities, and life insurance. And I think that's hugely important because I have all the tools at my fingertips to help implement the goals that my clients want. So number two, I am a certified financial planner. That is a certification that's very difficult to achieve, and very few have it. I am a fiduciary, and what that means is that I work in the best interest of my clients. But I'm also independent, and more important is that I get to do what's best for each of my clients, not what Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley or Raymond James tells me that I need to sell that day. So by being an RIA, by being a CFP, and being a fiduciary, I truly am in the best interests of my clients. And again, that is the most important credential that I have.
CPA, but someone has a financial advisor, money manager, someone that manages their assets, so to speak. How are you similar and or different to that person?
Well, when somebody tells me I already have a financial advisor, I always like to ask, and what is it that they do for you? Because 99% of the time, what a financial advisor will do is recommend products that have rates of return. Now, I say this all the time, rate of return is important, but it's not the whole story. I find it's much more valuable to get efficient with all the money that's running through your fingertips. If I'm inefficient or losing $10,000 a year by overpaying taxes or inefficiently paying for debt, and I make $100,000 a year, if I can recapture that money and bring it back to the table, that's a 10% rate of return that I've given you with no risk whatsoever. So isn't it more important to get more efficient with the money that you already have before going out and taking unnecessary risk?
All right, here's the key question on everyone's mind. How much money do I need to save for retirement?
So my answer is this. So our goal, or my position A for every one of my clients, is that you have enough money to continue to support the lifestyle that you've grown accustomed to, adjusted for inflation, and not run out of money. So everyone's number is different, right? You're your own individual, how much money you need, what your expenses are, but ensuring that you have enough money to maintain the lifestyle that you've grown accustomed to, adjusted for inflation, that's how much money we should be saving.
So most people are taught to contribute to 401ks, and it seems like, that's traditional advice people are given, and companies support it. And oftentimes a company will give someone a match, which, hey, that's free money. So what are your thoughts when it comes to 401ks?
So you have to remember, in all financial vehicles, there's pros and cons. But in 15 years, what I really understand is there's two very large blind spots around 401ks, which is a qualified government savings plan. Remember, the government created this, not your company, it's the government, okay? So the first thing is access to your money, and the second is future taxation. So people start contributing to these qualified plans in their 20s, but you don't get access to that money till you're 59 and a half. Now, I can tell you, I've lived a little life, and having access to capital is wildly important. In 30 years, you're going to have marriages, kids, houses, illness, job change. And when you have access to money, you have choices. Money in your 401k is not accessible unless you pay a hefty fee. Number two is future taxation. 401ks do not save taxes. They postpone taxes. So you have to ask yourself, if I put my money in this vehicle, what will future taxation be? Well, I don't know about you, but we're $30 trillion in debt right now. 30 trillion, not million, not billion, but trillion dollars. Who pays for that? The government? The only way the government gets money is through taxation. And who do they tax? The people with the money. So when you put money into a 401k, please ask yourself the two questions of, do I need it? Will I need access to it? And what will my future tax rate be? That will help immensely with choices on what to do with your 401k.